The sky broke open without warning. Arden Cole was already in his wheat field when the first sound hit. It was not thunder. It was deeper, like the sky itself being torn apart. He looked up from the irrigation line in his hands and froze. Above him, a crack of light split the clouds. Not lightning. Something worse. Something controlled. Two shapes fell through it. Massive winged creatures, burning as they dropped. Their bodies left trails of broken light, like their forms were made of fire and glass. The air around them twisted, as if reality itself bent away from their fall. Arden did not think. He ran. Boots hit dry soil hard as he sprinted straight into the open field. The wind screamed louder as the falling objects came closer. Small energy fragments rained down first, striking the ground and exploding into glowing holes that hissed like molten metal. One blast hit near him. The shockwave threw him sideways, but he forced himself back up. His face tightened. His eyes stayed locked on the falling creatures. "They're going to hit the crops," he muttered and ran faster. The first dragon hit the ground with a force that shook the entire field. Earth rose like a wave. Dust exploded outward. Wheat bent in a wide circle, flattened instantly by pressure alone. The second hit seconds later, farther out, carving a deep trench through the soil as it slid. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the creatures moved. Up close, Arden saw what they really were. Not beasts from myth. Not anything Earth had known. They were dragons, but not magical. Biological. Real. Their scales looked like layered metal skin, cracked and bleeding soft pulses of blue-white energy. Their wings twitched like damaged machinery trying to restart. The closer one tried to lift its head. It failed. Its body gave out and it collapsed forward, sliding directly toward Arden as if gravity itself had chosen him. Arden did not step back. He dropped to his knees and caught the massive horned head with both hands. The impact nearly crushed him into the ground. Pain shot through his arms and shoulders. His knees sank into the soil. But he held on. "Stay down," he gritted through his teeth even though he knew it could not understand him. The dragon's breath was broken. Each inhale released flickers of light, like its lungs were burning from the inside. Its eyes opened slightly, wide, glowing, confused, not angry. It did not attack. It trembled. Behind him, the second dragon moved. Arden turned his head just in time to see it lift itself halfway from the ground. One wing dragged uselessly. Its body shook violently. It tried to rise, but instead let out a sound that was not a roar. It was a broken call. Soft, shattered, almost human. It sounded like pain asking for help. Arden's breath stopped for half a second. The sound hit him harder than the crash. These were not invaders. They were wounded. Another pulse echoed from the second dragon. The sound repeated, weaker, like it was trying to communicate through broken systems. Arden looked between them. The field was still smoking. Energy debris flickered in the distance like dying stars. Somewhere above, the sky still had that unnatural tear slowly closing. His mind made a decision before fear could return. He shifted his grip on the dragon's horn. "If you can hear me, I'm not leaving you here." He braced his feet against the soil and began to pull. The dragon's head was heavy beyond reason. Every step dragged Arden forward, like pulling a collapsed machine made of stone and lightning. His muscles burned instantly, but he kept moving. Wheat stalks brushed against the creature's glowing scales. Something strange happened. The wheat near its body started to glow faintly. Not fire. Not light from above. A soft internal shimmer, like the plants were reacting to its presence. Arden noticed it mid-step. His eyes narrowed. "What is that?" The glow spread slowly through the crops as the dragon's body passed through them. The plants bent toward it, not crushed now but reacting, almost alive in a different way. Behind him, the second dragon made another weak sound. Arden glanced back. Its wings twitched, and for a moment, a faint pulse of light traveled across its body like a signal trying to restart. Then he saw it. A second glow in the soil. Not random. Patterned. Like a response. His grip tightened. "This isn't just crash damage," he whispered. "You're sending something." Above the field, the air shifted. A faint distortion appeared in the sky, like a lens focusing. Arden did not notice it at first. He was focused on pulling the first dragon deeper into cover, toward the irrigation trench near the old fence line. But then the wind stopped. Completely. The silence felt wrong. He looked up. The sky flickered. Once. Twice. Then a dark shape appeared in orbit, partially visible through the broken clouds. Not natural. Not weather. Something watching. Arden froze for half a second. The dragon in his hands trembled harder. A new pressure built in the air like the sky itself was being scanned. Far above, something large had arrived. Arden swallowed hard, forced himself to move again, and dragged the wounded dragon deeper into the wheat. Behind him, the second dragon let out one last broken pulse of light toward the sky. And in response, the orbiting shape began to descend. The wheat field was no longer silent. Arden moved fast, dragging the wounded dragon deeper into the rows, but the ground behind him kept reacting. Every step of the creature sent faint pulses through the soil, like something buried under the farm was waking up piece by piece. The first dragon's head hung heavy in his hands. Its breath came in broken flashes of light, each one weaker than the last. Arden gritted his teeth and adjusted his grip. "Stay with me," he muttered, even though he knew it could not understand him. Behind him, the second dragon tried to move again. It failed. Its wing collapsed into the dirt with a dry crack of energy distortion. The sound made Arden flinch, but he did not stop pulling the first one. If he left either of them in the open field, they would die here. Above, the sky still flickered. The dark shape in orbit remained, slowly stabilizing. Not a storm. Not natural. A ship. Then a sound broke through the air. Not thunder. A voice. Cold, layered, and artificial. Unknown terrain registered. Arden froze for half a second, then pulled harder. The dragon under his hands reacted to the voice. Its body shivered violently, and a weak pulse of light ran across its cracked scales. That was when Arden noticed something worse. The glow in the wheat was spreading. Wherever the dragon touched the crops, the wheat was no longer just bending. It was responding. Stalks straightened slightly as if they were remembering a shape they once had. Tiny flickers of light moved between roots like electrical veins. He looked down at it briefly. "What are you?" he whispered. A second scan hit the ground. This time it came with pressure. A wave pushed across the field, flattening grass in a wide circle. Arden dropped instinctively, shielding the dragon's head with his body. The shockwave passed. Dust rose. When he lifted his head again, he saw something new in the sky, thin scanning beams, moving in grids across the farm like invisible fingers searching. "They're mapping it," Arden said under his breath. The dragon in his arms gave another weak movement, like it understood the danger. It tried to lift its head again. Arden pressed it down gently but firmly. "No. Stay still." For a moment there was resistance. Then the creature stopped struggling as if it trusted him more than the sky above. That small moment hit Arden harder than he expected. He did not have time to think about it. A sudden crack echoed from the second dragon. He turned sharply. The second dragon had dragged itself half a meter forward. Its claws had torn deep lines into the soil. Every movement left faint glowing marks, like burning ink inside the earth. It let out another broken sound. This one was different. Shorter. Focused. Arden's instincts kicked in. It was not random noise. It was signaling. And something answered. From above, one of the scanning beams stopped moving. It locked onto the field. A new voice came through the air, sharper this time. Biosignal confirmed. Target presence multiplied. Arden's jaw tightened. "Great," he muttered. "Now I'm a target too." He made a quick decision. He dragged the first dragon harder, changing direction toward a shallow irrigation trench near the edge of his land. It was old, half-dry, but deep enough to hide bodies from direct scanning. Every step felt heavier. The dragon's weight was not just physical. It was like pulling something that resisted reality itself. His arms burned. His back tightened. But he refused to stop. Behind him, the second dragon emitted another pulse. This time the wheat reacted violently. A patch of crops near it lit up brighter than before, forming a faint circular pattern in the soil. Arden saw it clearly now. "It's not random," he said. "You're writing something." The air above them shifted again. The orbiting ship moved slightly, adjusting position. Then a second shape appeared beside it. Arden felt his stomach drop. Another ship. No warning. No mercy. A system was being built above his farm. And he was standing in the middle of it. The first dragon's body suddenly jerked. Arden almost lost his grip. Its eyes opened wider than before, glowing stronger for a second. A broken wave of images hit Arden's mind, not fully, just fragments. Fire. Broken skies. Chains of light. Falling wings. Then one clear sensation. Fear. Not of Arden. Of what was coming. He staggered slightly but kept moving forward. "I don't know what they did to you," he said quietly, "but you're not dying here." The dragon's breathing stabilized for a brief moment, as if his words mattered. That was when the second dragon changed everything. It raised its head one final time. Its broken wings twitched and every glowing mark on its body flared at once. A signal burst upward. Straight into orbit. Arden saw it happen in real time. A beam of light shot from the dragon's body into the sky like a flare. The scanning stopped instantly. Every grid line froze. Silence fell again. Then the sky responded. The first ship shifted position sharply. Weapon systems began to glow. Arden felt the pressure change instantly. He looked at the dragon in his arms, then at the second one still struggling in the field. "You just called them here?" he whispered. The first dragon let out a faint sound, almost like agreement. Above them, the ship's underside opened slightly. Energy gathered. Target locked. Arden tightened his grip and pulled the dragon one final step into the irrigation trench. But before he could fully reach cover, the sky began to descend. The moment the sky changed, Arden felt it in his bones. The air above the farm grew heavy, like pressure dropping before a storm, but this was not weather. It was focus. Something above had locked onto a single point in the field, and that point was him. He did not stop moving. The wounded dragon in his arms gave a weak tremor as he dragged it into the shallow irrigation trench. The soil there was dry on top but damp underneath, cold and compact. It was not safety but it was cover. Behind him, the second dragon tried to rise again. It failed halfway. Its body collapsed with a sharp crack of glowing energy dispersing into the ground. The wheat around it lit up in unstable patterns like broken code trying to repair itself. Arden saw it but forced himself to focus. "Just a little more," he said through clenched teeth. The first dragon's head slid into the trench. Its breathing was weaker now, each pulse of light from its mouth dimmer than before. Arden lowered it carefully, using his own body as support so it would not hit the ground too hard. The moment it settled, the air above them shifted again. A low sound rolled across the field. Not thunder. Not wind. A controlled descent. Arden slowly looked up. Two ships now hovered above his farmland. The first one was larger, dark and angular like something carved out of void metal. The second was smaller but more focused, circling like a hunter observing prey. Thin beams of light scanned the ground again, but this time they did not move randomly. They paused on the dragons. Then on Arden. Then back to the crops. A cold voice returned. Biological interference confirmed. Hostile environment, Earth farm zone. Arden exhaled slowly. Farm zone, he repeated under his breath. Of course they'd call it that. The dragon beside him reacted to the voice again. Its body tensed, then released a faint pulse into the soil. And the soil answered. Arden noticed it immediately. The trench walls were glowing now. Not bright. Not dangerous. Alive. The water in the irrigation line beneath his hands began to ripple in a pattern that matched the dragon's heartbeat. It was subtle at first, but undeniable. Like the land itself was sinking to something alien. Arden stared at it. "This isn't just biology," he whispered. "It's communication." Above, one of the ships shifted again. A new tone entered the air. Lower. Sharper. Signal source confirmed. Deploy containment protocol. Arden's eyes narrowed. "Containment," he said. "So I'm the problem now." He looked at the wounded dragon. It was still alive. Barely. But its eyes were open again, faintly glowing. It was watching him. Not the sky. Him. Then something strange happened. A memory hit him. Not fully formed but sharp enough to make him gasp. He saw flashes of vast skies filled with burning structures. Dragons moving in coordinated formations. A war but not just destruction, something more organized. Something political. There were symbols. Orders. Betrayals. Then pain. A single overwhelming emotion from the dragon flooded into him. Not fear of death. Fear of being erased. Arden staggered slightly but kept his hand steady on the creature's horn. "You were soldiers," he said quietly. "Not animals." The dragon gave a faint pulse, almost like confirmation. A sound echoed above them. One of the ships began descending faster. The air pressure dropped sharply. Dust lifted from the ground in spirals. Wheat bent violently outward. Even the trench walls shook slightly. Arden's jaw tightened. "All right," he muttered. "So that's how it's going to be." He turned his head slightly toward the second dragon still in the field. It was barely moving now, but its body was still glowing in irregular bursts. Each pulse sent faint patterns through the soil, expanding outward like ripples in water. Arden noticed something new. The patterns were connecting. From the second dragon, to the first, to the irrigation system beneath him. A network was forming. Not random anymore. Structured. Above, the descending ship slowed suddenly. A new voice replaced the first one. Unexpected biosynchronic response detected. Arden blinked. What? The dragon in front of him stirred again. This time, its head lifted slightly on its own. Weak but deliberate. Its eyes locked onto the sky. Then it did something unexpected. It emitted a focused pulse. Not panic. Not distress. A structured signal. The wheat around them responded instantly. Entire rows lit up in faint synchronization, forming shapes across the field, like a map being drawn in real time. Arden stood frozen. "This is not random," he said slowly. "You're building something." The sky above flickered again. One of the ships stopped descending. Completely. The other rotated, scanning the glowing field patterns more intensely. A third voice entered the channel. Different tone. Less certain. Human presence detected within active biosync formation. Re-evaluating threat classification. Arden let out a short breath. For the first time they were hesitating. The dragon in his arms gave another weak pulse, stronger than before. Arden felt it through his hands. It was not just survival. It was instruction. He looked at the glowing field, the irrigation lines, the linked pulses between both dragons and the soil. Then up at the ships that no longer knew what they were looking at. "You're not attacking Earth," he said quietly. "You're reacting to it." The dragon blinked slowly. Above them, the largest ship opened a small segment on its underside again. But this time no weapons charged. Instead, a scanning beam extended downward, slower, careful, almost hesitant. Arden squinted. "Now you're thinking," he muttered. The beam touched the glowing wheat. And the entire field responded. In perfect synchronization. The system woke up fully. The moment that happened, every ship in orbit went silent. The silence after the ships went quiet was worse than the noise. Arden stood in the irrigation trench, one hand still pressed against the wounded dragon's horn. His breathing was steady but his body was exhausted. Every muscle felt like it had been stretched past its limit. Still he did not move away. Above him, the largest ship hovered motionless. No weapons charging. No scanning grids. No alarms. Just watching. The wheat field around Arden was no longer normal. It pulsed faintly in waves of soft light, synchronized with the two dragons. The patterns were still there, etched into the soil like glowing instructions written by something ancient and alive. Arden did not understand it. But the ships clearly did. A new voice broke the silence. Not cold this time. Careful. Unknown biosynchronic entity confirmed. Reclassification in progress. Arden narrowed his eyes. Reclassification, he repeated quietly. Now I'm an entity. The wounded dragon in front of him shifted slightly. Its breathing was still weak but steadier than before. The faint glow in its eyes pulsed in rhythm with the wheat field. Behind them, the second dragon made another effort to rise. This time it succeeded halfway. Its wings unfolded slightly, trembling but no longer completely broken. The glowing patterns in its body stabilized just enough to stop it from collapsing immediately. Arden watched it closely. "You're holding together because of this place," he said. "Not because of them." The dragon did not respond in words, but its body gave a faint synchronized pulse. Above, the smaller ship moved closer to the larger one, circling slowly like it was analyzing something uncertain. Then came the shift. A thin beam extended from the largest ship, not a weapon this time but a focused scan. It descended slowly, locking onto the glowing field again. But something had changed. The wheat did not just react. It responded back. The moment the beam touched the ground, the entire field lit up in structured motion. Lines of light traveled through the soil, connecting roots, water, and the dragon's energy pulses into a single flowing network. Arden felt it through his boots. A vibration. Not random. Intentional. He took a slow step back. "What are you doing?" he whispered. The dragon in front of him tilted its head slightly. Another pulse traveled through it, stronger now, and the field reacted immediately. The glowing patterns shifted. They formed a shape. Not random geometry anymore. A symbol. Above, the scanning beam flickered. The ships reacted instantly. Biosync formation stabilizing. Unknown intelligence response detected. Arden's heart tightened. "Intelligence?" he muttered. "It's just crops and energy." But even as he said it, he didn't believe it fully anymore. The second dragon gave a sharp movement. It had fully risen now. Barely standing but upright. Its wings spread wider, catching the faint glow from the field. Its body looked unstable, like it could collapse at any second, but it stayed up. And then it did something that changed everything. It turned its head toward Arden. Not the sky. Not the ships. A memory hit again, stronger this time. Arden staggered slightly. He saw a vast structure, not a battlefield this time, but something like a council chamber made of light. Dragons and other beings standing together. Agreements being formed. Then breaking. Then betrayal. A single moment stood out. A decision to erase evidence of a cross-species stabilizing world. Arden gasped. "You were never supposed to be here," he said softly. "You were hiding something." The dragon's eyes flickered. Above, the ship shifted again. The largest one opened its underside further. This time, a voice came through with hesitation. "This planet does not match expected development profile." Pause. Then. "Earth classification error confirmed." Arden laughed once, short and breathless. "Yeah," he muttered. "Tell me about it." The wheat field pulses grew stronger. The irrigation water beneath him began flowing in unnatural directions, forming loops and cycles that had no physical explanation. The dragons were no longer just reacting, they were guiding it. The second dragon gave a sudden strong pulse upward. The entire field responded instantly. The symbol in the wheat changed. It sharpened. Structured. Like a lock opening. Above, every ship froze. Even the smallest movement stopped. Arden felt the tension shift in the air. Something had just been unlocked. The largest ship's voice returned, lower now. "Ancient biosynchronic network detected on planet surface." A second voice overlapped. "This level should not exist on a primitive world." Arden's eyes widened slightly. "Primitive," he repeated. "You still think this is primitive?" The dragon in front of him let out a weak but focused pulse. The field answered. The symbol expanded outward across the entire farm, glowing brighter than before. It reached the edges of Arden's land, then beyond, like it was trying to map something larger hidden beneath the surface of the world. Arden felt a deep vibration in the ground. Not from the ships. From below Earth itself. His breath caught. "Wait," he whispered. "This isn't just on the surface." Above, the largest ship began to slowly rotate away from the farm. Not retreating. Recalculating. The smaller ship followed. A final message echoed through the air. "Earth will be reassessed. Stand by for second contact." Arden looked up, still breathing hard. "You're leaving?" he called out. "After all that?" No answer came. The ships began to pull back into orbit. But before they fully disappeared, the second dragon emitted one final pulse into the sky. And in response, the retreating ships stopped for half a second, as if something had answered from far beyond them. Then they vanished. Silence returned to the field. The wheat slowly dimmed but did not return to normal. The dragons collapsed again, exhausted but alive. Arden stood alone between them, staring at the sky. And for the first time since the crash, he realized something terrifying. This had not been an attack. It had been a test. And Earth had just passed, without knowing the rules. The night after the ships left did not feel normal. Arden stood in the middle of his wheat field long after the sky went dark. The irrigation trench behind him was quiet now, but the ground still carried faint pulses, like a heartbeat refusing to stop. Both dragons were alive. Barely. The first one lay in the trench, its breathing slow but steady. The second had collapsed a few meters away, its wings folded awkwardly, glowing faintly in broken rhythms. Neither moved much, but neither died either. That alone felt like a miracle. Arden slowly walked between them, checking their condition. His hands were covered in dirt, small burns, and faint energy marks that still tingled on his skin. "You owe me a lot of explanation," he muttered under his breath, though there was no anger in it. The first dragon opened its eyes slightly. It looked at him. Not as prey. Not as a threat. As something else. A constant soft pulse came from its body, slower now, calmer. The wheat around them no longer glowed brightly, but it still responded in faint waves, like it had learned a new language and was trying not to forget it. Arden crouched beside it. "What did I just step into?" he asked quietly. The dragon did not answer in words. Instead, it gave him a memory. Clearer this time. He saw a vast network stretching across space, not just ships or planets but something deeper. A hidden layer of infrastructure, biological, energetic, ancient. Worlds connected not by technology alone, but by living systems embedded into ecosystems. Then he saw Earth. Not as it was now, but as it once was meant to be. A stabilized node. A silent key. Arden pulled his hand back slightly, breathing slower. "So Earth wasn't random," he said. "It was part of something." The dragon's eyes flickered once. Above them, the sky was empty now. No ships. No scanning lights. But Arden still felt like something far away was listening. Behind him, the second dragon moved. It forced itself upright slightly, trembling. Its wings did not fully open, but it held its head high enough to see the field. And then it did something unexpected. It released a single controlled pulse into the soil. The wheat responded instantly. But this time it did not glow wildly. It formed something stable. A pattern. A map. Arden stepped forward slowly, his eyes narrowing. This again, he whispered. The pattern spread across his entire field, connecting irrigation lines, root systems, and even underground water flow. It was no longer random synchronization. It was structure. A system. A blueprint. The first dragon gave a faint confirming pulse. Arden's jaw tightened. You're not just healing here, he said. You're building something under my farm. The second dragon lowered its head slightly, almost like agreement. Then a new sensation hit Arden. Not a vision this time. A presence. Deep underground. He froze. His hand pressed into the soil instinctively. There was something beneath his land. Something old. Something reacting. The dragon sensed it too. Both of them emitted synchronized pulses at the same time. The wheat field lit up in a wide circle, brighter than before, extending far beyond the irrigation trench. Arden stepped back. No, don't do that, he said quickly. But it was already happening. The ground vibrated softly. Not collapsing. Opening. Like something buried under the farm was waking up after a long sleep. Arden's breathing quickened. You're not just fixing yourselves, he said. You're waking up the planet. The first dragon struggled slightly, then steadied itself again. Its eyes locked onto Arden, and for the first time, it projected something more precise. A single concept. Not images. A word. Anchor. Arden frowned. Anchor. The dragon repeated it through another pulse. The wheat field responded by drawing a central glowing point directly beneath Arden's feet. He looked down slowly. Right under him, the soil was brighter than anywhere else. He stepped back immediately. What did you do? He whispered. The second dragon gave one more pulse upward. The entire field stabilized again, but now the pattern was permanent. Not fading. Not temporary. Installed. Above them, far beyond sight, something responded again, but not ships this time. A distant resonance, like something much larger acknowledging a signal it had not heard in a very long time. Arden felt it in his chest. Whatever this was, it was not local. He looked at both dragons, exhaustion mixing with disbelief. I just wanted to grow crops, he said softly. Not unlock the planet. The first dragon shifted slightly, almost like it understood the humor. But there was no comfort in it. Only wait. A new silence settled over the field. Then the second dragon lifted its head one last time. It released a final, soft pulse into the sky. Not a signal for war. Not distress. A message. Somewhere far away, something answered. And this time it was not human. Arden looked up slowly at the dark sky, feeling the faint vibration still under his feet. The wheat field glowed once, then dimmed into a steady, living pattern. Not asleep. Waiting. He exhaled slowly. Yeah, he whispered. This isn't over. Far beyond Earth's orbit, unseen and unanswered, something began to move toward the signal buried under his land. And Arden Cole, just a farmer, stood at the center of it all without knowing he had already become the first bridge between two worlds, and whatever came after them.